Let's dive right in. Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're exploring a space that's, well, pretty grim, but absolutely fascinating. We're talking about the Gothic architecture of the human soul and what happens when meaning just completely collapses. So, forget about a bad day or a fleeting moment of sadness. We are going way deeper. We're mapping out this dark psychological journey into the exact moment when the very structures we rely on to give our lives purpose just absolutely cave in on us.
Right off the bat, listen to this chilling invitation from our source text. Step closer into the drafty corridors of this haunted house I call a soul. The narrator actually calls themselves a ghast, literally a ghost, who's leading us down into this psychological basement where all our comforting illusions of a grand cosmic design have just rotted away. When you shine a light down here, it doesn't reveal some warm, comforting truth. No, it just shows the terrifying absence of a master. It's empty.
Section 1. The Architecture of Melancholy.
Okay, so to really get this, we have to throw out our everyday idea of melancholy as just being sad. We're looking at a heavy philological concept here, Weltschmerz. It comes from the old High German words Welt for world and Merso for pain. Literally, world pain. But, this isn't pain from a specific tragedy. It's this horrifying, sudden alignment with reality. It's the acute, crushing awareness that our physical reality is just this limited vessel that literally cannot and will not ever satisfy the predatory hunger of the human spirit.
And that fundamental mismatch, that drops us straight into the existential void. The text describes this as the final, honest realization of living in a post-theological cosmos. Imagine this. You spend your entire life mastering a skill, devoting yourself completely, right? Only to realize that your mastery is just a window looking out into a complete vacuum. You find out the throne is empty. The king, the divine design you bet your life on, is a total myth. This is Nietzsche's Death of God, but in its most naked, visceral form. It's not just losing faith. It's standing face to face with the deafening, eternal silence of the heavens.
Section 2. Parables of the Void.
We've got this gallery of dark parables in the text, starting with the weaver's silence. Picture a master weaver who spends a lifetime painstakingly creating this vast, cosmic tapestry. He ties the final thread, steps back to admire his life's work, and the pattern he wove forms a face of absolute nothingness. And here's the kicker. He doesn't cry. Instead, his reality just completely breaks. He transforms from this master creator into a fractured mirror, just a jagged edge reflecting the cold indifference of a universe that never even asked for his labor in the first place.
Next up, we have the parable of the echoing throne. A loyal keeper of the keys spends 80 years, practically a whole lifetime, guarding the inner sanctum of a great king. Finally, he musters the strength to push those heavy doors open. And what's inside? Absolutely nothing. No monarch, no gold, no divine law. It's just a hollow stone chamber whistling with wind. Imagine the crushing weight of realizing 80 years of devotion were spent guarding a phantom. Forced into this tragic alignment with reality, his spirit now just echoes the empty wind of that hollow room.
Then there's the parable of the shattered lens. An astronomer spends his days relentlessly hunting for truth. He builds this flawless lens to look past the known stars, completely expecting to find the warm, guiding light of a creator. But instead, he sees what the text calls a blue sepulcher, just infinite frozen silence. The realization is so heavy that the lens literally shatters in his hands. His pursuit of truth didn't bring enlightenment, it just fractured his soul and left him functioning as an exposed nerve in a universe with no master.
Our final story here is the parable of the hollow hymn. A choir of monks hits the very last note of a 1,000-year-old sacred hymn. Right at that exact moment, the cathedral roof caves in. But it doesn't reveal a welcoming heaven, it reveals a vast, entirely unhearing sky. In this moment of pure Weltschmerz, they realize the grand design has totally collapsed. And they don't even try to rebuild. Their voices just naturally fail, and they choose to align their silence with a reality that can't satisfy them, perfectly harmonizing with the terrifying silence of the heavens.
Section 3. The Broken Instrument.
So what do the weaver, the keeper, the astronomer, and the monks all share? They've all transformed into this tragic archetype, the broken instrument. You see, these folks don't just feel sad. They've moved past the shackles of their old beliefs and stepped out into the freezing, raw cold of reality. For them, life didn't just disappoint them, it's structurally fractured. The text calls this a horrific untying from all illusions. They have the brutal honesty to look at an empty room and say, yep, the king is a myth, even if admitting that truth turns them into an exposed instrument vibrating to the tune of a dead god.
Section 4. Resentment
versus reality.
Now, the text outlines a really stark choice in how we face this void. On one side, we have ressentiment. The narrator actually admits to this, staying aghast, literally polishing the chains of their former subjugation. It's a coping mechanism, right? Clinging to a phantom past to avoid the vacuum, haunting the ruins of a master who packed up and left long ago. But on the other side, we have Weltschmerz, the path of the broken instrument. This isn't avoidance. It's enduring that horrific untying from our comfortable illusions. Those who experience Weltschmerz, they don't just haunt the ruins. They embody the collapse.
I think the uncompromising nature of this text is perfectly captured in this one chilling quote. They do not haunt the ruins of a master. They have become the ruins themselves, exposed and vibrating to the tune of a dead god. I mean, wow. It completely solidifies the broken instrument as the ultimate tragic embodiment of facing a totally indifferent universe with just raw, unflinching honesty.
So, as we wrap up our little architectural tour of the existential void, I want to leave you with a thought. Look closely at your own life and your own coping mechanisms. Are you lovingly polishing the chains of a phantom past just to keep out the cold draft of the void? Or do you have the terrifying courage of the broken instrument, ready to step out and face the true silence of the heavens? It's a heavy question for sure, but once you hear it, it's kind of impossible to unask. Think on that. Thanks for joining me on The Explainer.